Hello everybody, Joe Bagdones here, welcome back for another episode of Umineko. Last time, Shannon screwed the pooch and doomed everybody by being a emotionally vulnerable woman who was easy to manipulate. Oops. What's going on with me? It's very cold in my house today, very cold. It dropped into the 40s, Fahrenheit. Like low 40s, almost. I think it got to like the high 30s last night. And, I still have my window AC units in, so all that cold air is now inside my house. I'm all bundled up in my nice fluffy robe. I got my pajamas on, because of course I have my striped pajama tops and bottoms that I wear to bed, because I'm an old fucking man. And I'm wearing my Crocs, so that way my feet don't have to touch the cold hardwood floor. And even my coffee, I poured it into my mug, but my mug was so cold it just instantly, like, made it room temperature, which, hopefully in the next cup will be nice and warm. But anyway, we didn't get a clean chapter break last time, so let us continue on to see how bad fucking Shannon fucked it up for everybody.
別部屋ってなんだよ。じゃあ、わざわざシャノンとジョージ兄さんは別の部屋に泊まったのかよ。
Wait, huh? Is that really that surprising?
はい。そんなにもおかしかったでしょうか。
I mean, if you're looking to get some action, then yeah, but since Jessica's cheeks have been stuck with chocolate-coated, oh god, Chinsuko? Sure. Chinsuko biscuit that Shannon had brought as a souvenir from Okinawa, all of it flew out at Shannon when Jessica cried out.
シャノンさ、何のために沖縄まで旅行に行ったんだよ。
And wait, Cannon went too? Then you, okay, no. I saw Shannon, you, and George, and I saw on Cannon. It's like, then you, then Shannon, space, comma, you. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Sentence structure messed my brain because I just woke up.
それもジョージ兄さんと二人っきりで。
それはその
I mean, this one is
とて
friends.
も大きな
Nothing
水族
wrong with
館
that.
が沖縄にあるからぜひ行こうって誘われて
Perfectly fine to start off slow.
私お魚とか好きですし
Bitches love fish. Take me to
い
the
や、だ
aquarium.
からさ、健全な男女がお泊まりありで旅行に行ったわけだろ。それでチューもなければギューもないのかよ。
Look, they're a bunch of cowards. Leave them alone.
ましてや部屋は男女で別部屋ってなんだよ。
チューについてはノーコメントです。でもギューはありましたよ。
I mean, but was it like the friend hug, or
ジョ
was
ージ
it
さん
like
の胸
a romantic
温
embrace?
かかったです。
そういうことじゃねえぜ。
Like when you're meeting someone at the airport after a long time, and well, and they're Japanese, that would never happen. Never mind.
なあもう、なんだってこんなカップルがいるんだよ。なあもう、じれってぜ。
From Shannon's perspective, a lot of things had happened, and it had seemed to have been a very happy trip, but it looked like the missed opportunity had left Jessica feeling greatly unfulfilled. Yeah, she's like living vicariously through you, so come on. Not in like a relationship with George, but like experiencing, young romance, that kind of thing. For a while, Jessica chewed on her souvenir, writhing on her bed as she complained about the romance. Shannon and George had chosen to go to Okinawa because there was a huge aquarium there. That was because their first meeting had revolved around an aquarium. Had it? Okay. Weird. Since they had started at an aquarium, having their first overnight trip also be to an aquarium might have held some commemorative value.
そんな記念の節目の初のお泊まり旅行ならいろいろと進展するもんがあるはずだぜ。それが男女別部屋、カップルでシングルを2部屋。ああもう本当にどうかしてるぜ。
Hey, sometimes you just need your space to like spread out and like just unwind. They don't want to share with anyone
お
else.
互い独身
I'm
の男
honestly
女
like
ですし
that. If I ever get married, I'm honestly thinking I might be the kind of person who does like the 1950s like family sitcom room setup where we each have our own like twin bed with our own nightstand, because honestly, like, get the fuck off me. I'm trying to sleep. You're making the bed too hot. Like, your hair is in my face. Like, love you, but fuck, dude, get away from me.
ジョージさんが そこをしっかりするのが男女のマナーだとおっしゃって。
だから、それを踏み越えるためのお泊まり旅行じゃねえのかよ。
Away from prying eyes. You can do
もは
whatever
や
you want.
9とか9とかのレベルじゃねえぜ。
お嬢様がどういう意味でおっしゃってるのかわかりませんが、ジョージ様は最後まで
Yeah.
本当に紳士でいてくださいま
Yeah,
し
and
た。
you can be a gentleman blowing your back out too. Nothing wrong with that.
それは私もそういうことがあるかなというか。でも私たち
Ugh.
お付き合いはしてますけど、別に結婚してるわけじゃないし、
Who cares?
お嬢様が期待されているようなことはちゃんと神様の前で誓いを立ててからするべきです。
Oh, well, you were raised in, like,
するべ
a
きです
place called the Gospel House. So it makes sense that you're, you know, a good little Christian girl, deep down. Shannon's face was bright red. She was restlessly fidgeting, making a circle with both hands, then a chain link, continuously intertwining, separating, and making heart shapes with them. Apparently, that dramatic process Jessica had been looking forward to hadn't happened, but it seemed that it had been a very important experience for Shannon in her own way. So in the end, no matter how much Jessica envied Shannon or made fun of her, it didn't change the fact that Shannon had a huge lead on her.
私も彼氏欲しい。シャノンに先を越されたのが悔しい。彼氏作るときは一緒だぜって約束したのに抜け駆けされた。
Quit being a fucking coward and just go talk to Cannon like you want to.
お嬢様は素敵な方ですから、私なんかよりきっと素敵な方がすぐに現れます。
Though Cannon's a little more fucking in the Kool-Aid than Shannon is, so he'd be like, that's an unprofessional, like, employer-employee relationship, so I will respectfully have to decline.
そういう慰めはいらねえぜ。シャノンの裏切り者、出ていけ。
Alright, get your inhaler. Jessica threw several cushions at her, but midway, she had an asthma attack and started to cough pretty badly. Shannon hurriedly ran over to her and took a look on top of a nearby side table. An adorable basket was placed there, and inside of it was Jessica's inhaler. Shannon picked it up and handed it over to Jessica. Jessica's asthma attacks always came suddenly. Because of this, she had to carry this medicine around with her at all times. She breathed in the medicine, and after some time spent holding back her coughing, her asthma finally settled down. Shannon thought this a good chance to leave, bowed courteously, and made to exit the room. As she did, one more small cushion came flying and hit Shannon on the head. She looked around and saw that Jessica was on the verge of crying, half of her face buried in her last and favorite cushion. That face was red and meek.
お嬢様？
シャノンさ、正直に言って、私、
You got a shot?
髪型とか、変かな。
No, ponytails are good. Good sieve.
まさか。お嬢様の髪はとてもお美しいと思います。
じゃあ、目とか
I
変か
mean,
な。
y'all got the
鼻
same,
とか変
like,
じゃないかな。
same face, so you can't really say anything on that front.
やっぱり、喋り方がダメなのかな。
Yeah. Some people might not appreciate the tomboy edge, but I do.
だから彼氏できないのかな。
そんなはずはありませんよ。お嬢様はそのままで十分に素敵です。
I mean, but, you know, shitty fucking teenagers, they're honestly probably afraid of your family.
そしてその魅力はこれからもっともっと増していくと思いますよ。
Like, that's just walking into, like, a whole different world that, you know, shit kids, ooh, they ain't ready for.
サクもヒナも彼氏できたのに、私にだけできないよ。やっぱり、私には魅力ないからかな。みんなね、文化祭に彼氏連れてくるんだって。私もその日までにはきっと彼氏いるって思って。
Just order Cannon to go with you and have pretend.
彼氏だって きやしない。私だけ。
Nothing wrong with going stag.
私だけ。
Before she realized it, Jessica was shedding huge tears. Jessica hadn't planned on crying, and of course, she felt like supporting Shannon's progress and love as a friend. However, as she had made fun of Shannon, her true feelings had suddenly gotten mixed in, and the tears had just poured out on their own. Shannon understood Jessica's innocent and easily injured heart. Jessica's usually rough style of speech was all just an attempt to protect her own easily injured heart. As a daughter and successor to the Ushirimiya family, and as a girl isolated in Rokkenjima, the only person she could expose her true feelings to was Shannon. Shannon understood that, so she strongly regretted feeling a little too self-satisfied.
涙出ちゃうなんて。私変なの。
Just a little.
ごめん。
お嬢様は素敵な方です。そんなお嬢様に素敵な男性が現れないわけがありません。
Someone calling me? Someone is calling me. Give me a moment. Alright, and I'm back. Gotta love work calling me on my days off to badger me. Where were we? Oh, yeah.
シャノン、もう時間だ
Jessica
ろ。
being a loser, not able to bag a guy.
早く行かないと、また現地さんやカズさんに怒られるぜ。私は全然平気だから早く行きなよ。悪いな、泣いちゃったりなんかしてさ。バカみてえだぜ、私。
Jessica faced away as if to show she wasn't looking for attention, and waved her hand as though to drive Shannon away. Shannon took that as a sign that she didn't want to be badgered anymore, bowed her head, and left the room. When her footsteps disappeared into the distance, Jessica lay down on her bed, still hugging the cushion. Her expression was still a little meek, with tears in her eyes. But for the first time in a long time, she had a very, very quiet and honest conversation with her heart.
私も恋がしたい。
Damn, this chapter just keeps on going and going, huh? As Shannon watered the flower beds in the garden in a high spirit, she sensed someone's presence. She turned around, thinking that if one of the family had come to visit, she must greet them. And what she saw was that witch. Oh, hey,
ベアトリーチ
Beatrice.
ェ様。
久しぶりよの。
You're, showing up quite a bit more often than I thought you would.
どうだ？その後、そなたの思い人との仲は順調か？
I mean, I don't think he's shown up. As Beatrice sat on the rose arch, she happily blew on her pipe. Rose arch? Like, are you on like one of those little wooden arches in the garden that like the plant's supposed to crawl up? Sitting in a place like that would crush the roses. And it might have been dangerous if he fell off the arch. But after all, this was a witch. That was surely an unnecessary concern.
はい。おかげさまで
当然よ。わらわの魔法はてきめんである。そなたにはまる
Sounds
で
suspicious.
二人が出会うのはあらかじめ決められた運命であったかのように感じているかもしれぬ。だがそれは間違いよ。夢夢、運命だなどと思うでないぞ。
それは分かってます。
The witch was calling attention to something. Two things, actually. That originally, her relationship with George had been completely impossible. And that her magic power was so great, it could manipulate that fate. Shannon had become swept up in these sweet days and had started to fall under the illusion that all fate was revolving around her. But the witch's words made her remember. Her relationship with George had originally been impossible. Not really. This seems like a big placebo thing to give you like a little bit of false courage to actually like fucking jump in like head first, but you know, you do you, I guess. No, it might also be impossible in the future as well.
すまぬすまぬ。医者と同じよ。病に悩めばすがるくせに、治れば感謝も忘れる。 魔女が感謝された試しはないのでな。
That's because you're
つい
doing
不
shady
屈になっ
shit
て
like
しまった。
killing all the family members.
許すがいい。
感謝の気持ちを忘れたことはありません。ベアトリーチェ様のお力で幸せな思いができていること、そしてそのお力がなければ私とジョージ様が寄り添う運命がなかったこと、
Again, that's not really true.
決して忘れたことはありません。
すまぬすまぬ。いじめに来たわけではないのにな。
Sure about that?
口が悪いのはわらわが性分。許されよ。それよ
Maybe,
り
maybe we should work on that.
聞いたぞ聞いたぞ。二人きりで旅行に行ったとな。さぞや楽しかった
I
であろう。
guess the walls really do have fucking ears in this mansion.
はい、とても楽しかったです。
Shannon's face suddenly grew bright. The witch laughed lightly, as though that transformation was worth money.
もはやそなたの思い人は一方的に思うだけの存在ではない。
Yep, you got your fucking hooks dug deep into him.
互いに思われる恋人同士よ。愛に満たされた二人にとって世界はただそれだけで成立する素晴らしき理想の世界かな。魔女も焼こうというもの。
Beatrice laughed pleasantly. That smile was without a trace of malice, making her look as though she'd blessed the lover's secret meeting from the bottom of her heart. After that day, Beatrice had shown herself before Shannon every once in a while. Even now, Shannon still thought of her as a creepy being. However, she was also hugely indebted to this person for bestowing the magic that had given her the relationship she had with George. So Shannon was trying with all her might not to be surprised or scared.
そうだった。ベアトリーチェ様、旅行のお土産にお菓子を買ってきたんです。よかったらベアトリーチェ様もいかがでしょうか。
ほう、魔女に土産とな。
Yeah, sure, why not? And that even the witch who boasted of living for 1,000 years hadn't been able to predict that she would receive a souvenir from a pair of sweet lovers. When she saw that surprised expression, Shannon thought of the witch as a friend for the first time. Yeah, a friend who smashes in half your face.
ほほう、ラードと小麦粉で作った東洋クッキーか。そ
Sounds
れを
good.
西
I
洋
haven't
風
eaten
に
yet.
チョコで包むとは、まさに和洋折衷、菓子のシルクロードよの。なんだ、何がおかしい？
いえ、失礼いたしました。
This mysterious witch, who surely held a terrifying power, was chomping down on the treats one after another, making it sound like a squirrel stuffing walnuts into its mouth. After a while, Shannon couldn't conceal her laughter. Adds a bit of a
そうになった
juxtaposition.
ぞ。そなたには今度ネロのドルチェビータでも振る舞おうぞ。バラは永遠の愛の象徴。今のそなたにはバラのドルチェこそがふさわしかろう。
Sure. The witch was in a great mood, having enjoyed the modern treats to the full.
これ本当にありがとうございました。
What's more?
もう私には十分だと思いますのでお返しします。
The thing that Shannon had set softly on the table was a gold-colored butterfly brooch.
返さずともよい。それに
What
持
is
ち
that, a
続
magic
けて
item?
いれば二人の仲はこれからも永劫に盤石であろうが。
出会いのきっかけは確かに魔法の力で与えてもらったかもしれません。でも
But don't need it
そ
no
の
more?
出会いを永遠のものにする努力は二人で協力し合って続けていくものだと思います。
That's a good way of going about it.
愛もバラと同じか。過ぎた世日は根を腐らせる。
Roses are delicate little fucking things. Like, oh no, the pH level of the soil is 0.5 too high. Guess I'll fucking kill myself.
苦労せねば育めぬ花もあろ
Compared to some plants, they're like, concrete.
う。ならば好きにするがよい。身につけず宝石箱の中にしまうもよかろう。それはそなたに送ったわらわの行為だ。 それを返されてはわらわも愉快ではない。
Alright.
申し訳ございません。そういう意味で言ったわけじゃ。
気を害してなどおらぬ。そのブローチはすでにそなたのもの。わらわとの友情の証にせいぜい大事にしてくれれば。
Cool, nice little
少しは気もな
cursed
ぐさ
magic item for you. Great.
持ち続け、そのご利益を得るもよし、
I can see no way this will come back to bite you in the
宝
ass
石
later.
箱にしまい込むもよし、望むなら恋路に悩む別のものに譲ろうと。さだ、大事にしてくれればよい。さすがに粗末にされては心が痛むでな。
Yeah, don't go selling it to the pawn shop. According to Beatrice, she had appeared several times in the past in response to a person's summons, so that she could give them an item imbued with some kind of magical power. However, most of them, after they used that power to resolve their worries, would quickly come to think of that power as creepy, and forgetting their feelings of thanks, they would throw away the items they had been given with disgust.
だからわらわの行為に素直に感謝された試しは多くない。いや、初めてか。
The witch laughed heartedly, but it looked like a sad laugh to Shannon's eyes. She herself had been like that in the past. No, maybe she was still like that now. Beatrice was definitely a witch with a strange and terrifying power. Most likely, no one would go along with her if they could help it. And even though on occasion they had relied on her strange power, it had undoubtedly resulted in fear more often than gratitude. It must have deeply hurt the witch when that repeated over and over. From the moment that she realized this, Shannon decided to stop being frightened of Beatrice. It had surely tormented her for over 1,000 years. Maybe she really liked the treats. Beatrice, who normally spoke abusively, praised the black tea that Shannon served her, and looked to be in remarkably high spirits. On such terms, the witch and the servant grew animated talking about the trip with George. Shannon didn't know much about Beatrice. First off, she was a ghost-like being who appeared in unexpected places at unexpected times. And it seemed that not everybody could perceive that she was there. It seemed that each person had something called a wavelength, and that there was a great amount of individual variation in people's abilities to perceive the witch. Only Shannon and Cannon could interact with her enough to exchange words like this. There were a few people who could sense her presence, but most people couldn't even feel that much. From what Beatrice said, Kraus and his wife in particular had zero magical talent. And no matter how much she followed them around, they would never notice her. Ugh, creepy. Previously, when Shannon had messed up and Nazi had gotten really mad at her, Beatrice had started playing around, hitting Nazi on the head with her pipe. Indeed, Nazi seemed completely oblivious. But Shannon, watching that, had burst out laughing without thinking, and had gotten scolded even more.
なら、親方
Just
様だった
blame
ら
him
どう
being,
でしょう
you
か。
know, one of those people who laughs under stress. That's me.
魔法の研究とかをなさっているそうですし、きっと
You know, it's just
ベアトリー
laugh
チ
so you
様の
don't
お姿
cry
にも
kind of
気
thing.
づいてくださると思います。
金蔵も同じよ。あれにも気の毒なくらいに魔法の才能がない。
Well,
血だな。同情に値するほど才能がない。
so how did he meet you in the first place then?
あ
As soon as they started talking about Kinzo, I felt like the atmosphere around Beatrice changed. She had spoken about Kraus and the rest, apostrophe S there, lacking magical talent, as though she was looking down on them, but she spoke of Kinzo in a different way. Anybody connected to the Ushirmiya family would know about Kinzo's legend of the gold. According to the legend, Kinzo had summoned the witch Beatrice and had been conferred gold. In short, that implied she had some kind of relationship with Kinzo.
だからあれは才能のひとかけらもないくせに狂ったように独学を重ね魔術師の域にまで達した。
それはとてもすごいことなんですね。
うん。
The witch, who usually looked down on people, was unexpectedly praising someone. While she lambasted Kinzo, calling him talentless, she praised his efforts.
そして親方様は魔法の力でベアトリーチ様を呼び出した。
うん。 まあ召喚に応えたのは気まぐ
Yeah,
れ
as a joke.
魔法を否定して久しいこのご時世に才能のかけらもない者が必死にやっているのでな。少しからかってやろうと思った
Look at you,
の
big
が
fucking softy, throwing
わ
him
ら
a
わの
bone
運
like
の
that.
尽きよ。
The words, just my luck, showed that this had been a disaster for her. Shannon hesitated over whether it would be alright to encourage her to continue, but Beatrice continued on her own, ignoring Shannon.
一応書式もルールも揃っていた。いくつかの作法が混在していたが、
Well, you know,
まあその熱意に免じ
nitty gritty,
寛
who
大に契
cares?
約に応じてやったのだ。そしてわらわは山なす黄金を与えてやった。
そしてお館様は、その黄金を使って事業を成功させ、今日の財をなすのですね。
うん。魔法の才能はからっきしだが、商才と爆才はあったようだな。
Alright, good little mix of talent and luck.
いや、理不尽なる賭けに全て落とす勇気と狂気ゆえにか。狂気は
You gotta have
時に
both.
魔力に通ずる。なるほど。その点から見れば、金蔵に魔法の才能が全くなかったとは言い切れんか。
He had some aptitude because he was off his fucking rocker. Shannon felt like she was daydreaming. Well, everyone in the Ushiromiya family knew the story that Kinzo had delved into sorcery, summoned a witch, and had been given the gold. In actuality, it was all rambling that no one believed in. Now the witch herself was telling her that it was true. Shannon felt a little flustered at this insane secret that only she knew.
そして莫大な財産を得た金蔵は人の世で手に入れることのできる全ての夢を叶えきった。そして最後に世界の真理を求めたのだ。
世界の真理？
世界を構成する人の世で得られる全てを満たした金蔵は人が求める最後の欲望として
Well,
それを欲したのだ。
the single element. She felt like she heard that the witch said. She felt that she heard the witch say those words before. When Beatrice saw Shannon trying to remember what it was, she smiled awkwardly, waving her hand and saying there was no need to remember. Love.
わらわも金蔵を少し見くびっていた。
Now he's just a poor, lonely old man.
まさかあれほどの力を見せるとは思わなかったのでな。おかげでこのざまだ。茶飲み友達もなく、この島にもう何十年も縫い止められている。
Brutal.
誰に話しかけようとも声は届かず、どこへ行くこともできない。なんとも退屈な数十年だ
Hey,
っ
but
た
now
ことよ。
Shannon smashed that fucking mirror, so I guess you got a little more movement now? As she laughed in self-derision, she tapped her teacup with her finger. It made a clear sound of porcelain. Shannon didn't know whether the word self-derision was really an accurate expression to describe the look on the witch's face. Shannon didn't understand everything, but she could more or less figure out the situation. And it was surely a topic that she could not press the witch on lightly, unless the witch started talking about it herself. To sum up everything she had said until now, Beatrice, who had been summoned by Kinzo's magic, could not leave this island for some reason. And she had lost her power and her form, living her days in boredom. During that time, her words had reached Shannon, who never forgot to strongly respect the witch. And she had made Shannon help her to regain her power, even if only a little bit of it. As a result, she had become able to drink tea with Shannon like this.
ベアトリーチェ様が私に割るように言ったあの鏡は一体何なのですか？
ああ、その話か。この辺りの島で大昔いろいろとあったらしくてな。
That doesn't really explain anything, but sure. I know mirrors hold, like, special importance in, like, Shinto, yada yada, that kind of thing.
そのせいで良くないものがたまり、悪い歪みを引き寄せていたのだ。それを旅の東洋魔術師か何かが 鎮魂の社を建立して封じ込めたらしい。
Cool.
それ自体はわらわとはどうでもいいことなのだが、困ったことに魔力の基礎が違っててな。わらわの魔力にも強い干渉を及ぼしておって、非常に迷惑していたのだ。
そうだったんですか。私はてっきりベアトリーチェ様を封じていたものだとばかり。
No, it was just kind of like jamming.
わらわを対象にしたもの
Just
ではない。
broadcasting fucking garbage static.
だが神格のある鏡だったからな。
Mm-hmm.
結果としてわらわの力を封じ込めていたわけだ。料理に例えるならこうか。
Okay.
わらわの注文した西洋料理が厨房でまさに料理されているとする。ところがいざ配膳しようとしたら、客席は日本風で懐石料理が並べられている場だった。
Yeah, good luck fucking getting into that ribeye with your pair of chopsticks.
だから厨房は場違いな皿を出せず、わらわのところへはいつまで経っても西洋料理が届かない
That's a terrible analogy,
と
but
いっ
sure.
た感じよね。
I kind of get it.
だからそなたに日本風の客席を打ち壊し、場を一度白紙に戻させたのだ。
So the vibes weren't matching. Cool.
そのおかげでようやくわらわの注文した料理が届き、力が戻ったというところか。もっともようやく食前酒が届いたというところよ。メインディッシュにはまだまだ遠い。
Uh-huh.
今のわ
Gotta
ら
wait
わ
for the
な
family
ど
conference for that.
靴屋の妖精にも劣る希薄な存在でな。
Yeah, that was
何
that
が
was
お
an
かしい
awful analogy. For someone who's been alive for 1,000 years, you're real bad at explaining stuff.
魔女様の例えがあまりに面白かったもので、まさか魔法の話がお料理の話に例えられるとは思いませんでした。
我ながらうまい表現だったつもりだが、よもや笑われるとは思わなかったぞ。少し心外だ。
Slightly sulky expression rose to the witch's face. It would not have been a strange expression at all to see appear on the face of two friends as they enjoyed their tea.
こう見えても、
Yeah.
昔は残酷極まりない
Yeah,
こ
we
と
know.
で知られたわらわだったが、丸くなったものよ。人間とこうしてたあいない話で茶を交わせるようになるのだから。
She was probably talking to herself. As Beatrice gazed at the seabirds tracing the horizon, she put her tea to her lips again.
雲が出てきたな。海も精彩をかけば灰色の水たまりに過ぎぬ。
そうでしょうか。曇っても海は美しくて真っ青だと思います。
How sappy. Maybe the witch had noticed the deep meaning behind Shannon's words. She laughed lightly and set down her empty teacup.
もはやそなたの両目に埋められているのは黒い石ころではないらしい。どうだ、家具から人間に生まれ変わった気持ちは理解できておるか。
はい。世界がこんなにも優しかったなんて。
You just have
知りませんでした。
shitty employers. Since her relationship with George had begun, Shannon's face had grown brighter more often. Her smile had made everything go smoothly, and had even changed her luck. Shannon made fewer mistakes in her work than she had before, and the family members' opinion of her was starting to change slightly. Just the other day, Kraus, who rarely exchanged words with her, had suddenly started talking to her, surprising her.
最近いい笑顔をすることが多くなったじゃないか。何か良いことでもあったのかね。
いえ、でも楽しい毎日です。はい。
良いことじゃないか。同じコーヒーなら笑顔で継がれた方がうまいに決まっている。その笑顔でもう一杯頼めんかね。
Yeah, and people who are coming over to visit will, feel a little more comfortable if, the person, serving them isn't some dour, depressed looking, beaten dog.
はい。
That had become a chance for Shannon to gain confidence in herself. Of course, it didn't go beyond her own heart, and it wasn't a big change that anyone could see it. But she had begun to change, bit by bit. Shannon understood it clearly. To know love was to gain a soul, and therefore to be born again from furniture to a human. There was obviously nothing mistaken in Beatrice's words. By knowing love, Shannon had learned what it was to be human.
珍しい茶化をちそうになったな。有意義な時間であった。そろそろ仕事に戻らねばならぬ時間であろう。茶会はこれまでにしよう。そなたとわらわが茶を飲むことを好かん者もおるようでな。
Uh-oh. Nazi see you slacking? The witch gripped a teaspoon and flipped it out with her fingers, sending it up in the air. Then, it was flicked by the fingers of some invisible person in empty space and flew straight into the bush close nearby. Oh, it's Cannon. Hello. The bush moved violently, and Cannon came out. It seemed that he had been there for some time and had been watching their tea party. The spoon was gripped in his hand. Ooh, nice catch. If he had not been able to catch it by reflex, it might have hit him hard on the forehead and caused him to start oozing blood.
安心せよ。茶会はこれで終わるぞ、カノン。
いつからそこにいたの？声をかけてくれればカノン君の紅茶も入れたのに。
女同士の語らいを邪魔したくなかったのであろう。
Or like it's just dangerous to be involved with you. Cannon kept silent, but it seemed that there was a slight hostile look in his eyes. On the outside, he acted respectfully, but unlike Shannon, Cannon did not trust the witch. Probably a smart move! Beatrice rapped the table with her pipe, and the tea set turned into gold butterflies, which flew upward in unison. They scattered in every direction, and the cleanup was already done.
楽しかったぞ、シャノン。
Is that how you made the tea set, or did you just like turn our tea set into butterflies, and now we're gonna have to explain why we don't have it anymore?
また縁があれば会おうぞ。まだまだ魔力が足りぬでな。姿を現すのも疲れる。
そんなに疲れるなら二度と現れるな。
Cannon had said it in a small voice, but it seemed the witch had heard it perfectly. She giggled, but did not reply.
シャノン、次の茶会ではジョージとの話をまた聞かせておくれ。人の恋路より甘い茶花は他にない。それではさらばだ。
Alright, get out of here. Beatrice's body also became gold butterflies, which scattered in all directions and disappeared. It was a very fantastical and beautiful scene, like a blizzard of gold leaf. For a while, Shannon quietly watched the witch's exit. Cannon approached her from behind and spoke with a very different expression on his face than his sister's.
姉さん、あいつと付き合っちゃダメだって
Yeah, she's a bad
言ったじゃないか。
ベアトリーチェ様はそんなに悪い人じゃない。確かにちょっと怪しいところ
But she
はあ
does
るけれ
bad
ど。
things.
僕たちにしか姿が見えない時点で十分にうさんくさいよ。あいつは人間じゃない。何を企んでるかわかるものか。
カノン君、それは少し失礼だと思うな。
Shannon spoke seriously, which was unusual for her. To Cannon, who knew her well, it must have seemed extremely serious. Cannon showed almost excessive surprise at Shannon's style of speech and remained silent.
確かにベアトリーチェ様は人間とは違う。恐ろしい力を持っているし、恐れ敬わなければならない存在だと思う。でも人間とは違うからといってそれだけを理由に意味嫌うのはとても失礼なことだと思うの。
姉さんの言いたいことはわかるよ。
I mean, you can have like a pet bear, but don't get too close with it and lower your guard. Otherwise, it's gonna fucking rip your head off.
あいつにあのブローチをもらってから変わった。まるで魔女の虜だよ。ジョージ様との仲を取り持ってもらって頭が上がらないんだ。
そんなことを言わないで。
That's a
あい
face.
つは人間じゃない。何を考えてるかわからない。だから気を許しちゃダメなんだ。そして人間じゃないのは僕らも同
Yeah,
じだ
yeah,
よ。
furniture, we know, we
姉
know.
さん、
Cannon's words became more serious. Those words probably gouged at Shannon's heart. Shannon bit her lower lip and hung her head.
僕らは家具だ。たとえ名前をもらい、人として接してもらったとしても、僕たちの生まれが変わるわけじゃない。
You were no longer furniture. Those words Beatrice had given her, which had made her happiest of all, floated through Shannon's mind.
家具じゃないよ。
ううん、家具だよ。僕たちは人間未満の存在だよ。姉さんはそこを忘れたふりをして、人間のふりをしているだけ。自分でも分かっているはずだよ。
私、家具じゃないもん。人間だもん。
いや、人間じゃない。僕らには愛する資格も、
Cannon, why you like this?
愛される資格も初めからない。
It seems that Cannon's circumstances had shifted focus from Shannon's interactions with the witch. Shannon also noticed that quickly.
お嬢様に聞いたよ。正直呆れたね。
What?
ジョージ様と一緒に旅行に行くなんて。
Ooh, they gossiping?
家具の身の程を忘れてるよ。姉さんはあの魔女にそそのかされて、自分が人間になれたと勘違いしてるだけなんだよ。
聞いてカノン君、確かに私たちは家具だよ。人間に劣った未満の存在。でもその満たない分をもし得られたなら、それは人間になれたということじゃないのかな。
Very philosophical of you.
そんなものあり。
あるの。それを得たなら私たちは家具なんかじゃない人間になれるよ。
バカバカしい。なれるものか。
Cannon spat that out, but weakly, and turned away. That was probably resignation. The baptism of days upon days of suffering being furniture had firmly sealed his heart.
なれるよ。カノン君も
Yeah, you just
普
gotta
通の
try.
人間に。
よしてよ。魔女の受け売りは。
ベアトリーチェ様に教えてもらったの。私たちは世界の一なる元素を得ることで人間になることができる。それを満たさないならそれは人間じゃない。だから人は一なる元素を得るために生涯を
Yeah,
尽く
just
し
look at
貫
Kinzo
いてい
fucking
く。
locked up in his study, so fucking lost in the sauce.
姉さんが何を言っているのかわからないね。よまよい事なら聞きたくないよ。
ならカノン君にも分かるように教えてあげるね。ほら、姉さんの指の先を見て。
No. What, the sky? Shannon pointed straight at the sea, at the horizon. Cannon didn't understand what she was actually pointing at, and couldn't do anything except look between the horizon and Shannon's expression, which looked like she was posing a riddle.
海。カノン君は海が何色に見える？
I don't know, blue? It was all too simple a question. And I tried to guess the meaning behind that question for a while, but since he couldn't think of anything, he gave his answer straightforwardly. They're like
パ
steel
ッとし
gray.
ない。ネズミ色だよ。それが何？
Objectively speaking, the sea, laid out beneath a cloudy sky, could probably be described best by Cannon's words. But the Shannon closed her eyes and smiled. She shook her head slightly.
私には真っ青に見える。
そういう意味？緑色の信号を青っていうようなものでしょ。
Alright, let's read that. I know, like, the Japanese term for blue and green and, like, where the line gets drawn is a little... It's a little muddled. Grimoire. Alright. Green and blue. The color of ao in Japanese has a range of meanings, including pale, fresh, young, naive, and the colors blue and green in one word. The sea and sky are ao, fresh grass is ao, and so is the green of on a traffic light. Nowadays, Japanese have a native word, midori, for the color green, but the use of the broad word ao is still very common. And this is the color Shannon uses to refer to the sea. Kennen wonders if she is using the term ao to mean something other than blue.
違うの。海は真っ青。私には分かって、カノン君には分からないなら、これがつまり、そういうことなの。
What is it? I'm trying to remember. I think it's like ancient China where like there's only like 4 colors, you know, quote unquote, to describe things. It's like black, white, red, and like yellow or something. I don't know. Like different cultural color theory compared to like, you know, Europe and like broad like European cultural descent, yada yada. Getting a bit his lower lip and was silent for a while.
わからないよ。
カノン君、手を出して。
As Cannon stood bewildered, unable to understand what she was saying, she took his arm and opened the palm of his hand. Shannon softly set something there. It was the magic brooch, which he had received from Beatrice. A magic charm shaped like a gold butterfly, which could fulfill love.
これはあいつの。
ううんこれは私の。だから私だと思って粗末にしないで。
After being told that, he couldn't just throw it away. Cannon didn't know what he should do, and he stood there confused for a while, the brooch still on the palm of his hand. Shannon put the palm of her hand on top of Cannon's, and the brooch was warmed by both their
これ
hands.
は本当の魔法の力を持っ
And
たお
imagine
守
having
り
good
だ。
enough circulation to have warm hands, huh?
きっとカノン君に大切な気持ちを教えてくれると思うの。
あいつの魔法で教えられることなんて何もない。
あるの。だから身につけて、恥ずかしければ懐に忍ばせておくだけでもいいそうなの。
バカバカしい。あいつの魔法な
Yeah,
んか
how manly
惑わさ
wearing
れ
the
てたまる
butterfly
か。
brooch. No way Cannon could ever do that. Even if he said that, even as he said that, Cannon couldn't be cold-hearted towards something Shannon was pressing on him. In the end, Cannon agreed reluctantly to take it, saying he'd proved that he wouldn't surrender to the witch's power. Shannon smiled and nodded back.
きっとカノン君は大切なことを学べるよ。きっと人間になれるから。そうすればきっとカノン君にもこの海が美しい青に見えるに違いない。
ネズミ色は何度見たってネズミ色さ。
Yeah, but what's the color of it inside your heart?
違うよカノン君。そう見えるのは愛がないから。
Because of the howling wind, he hadn't been able to catch the critical part of what she had said. So Shannon said it once more, a single element of the world. She spoke once more of a world filled with that element, where the sea was a deep blue.
きっとカノン君にも真っ青な海が見えるよ。だって
Without love, it cannot be seen.
そこにいるのは誰か。
カノンです。
Oh, hey, yeah,
Yes.
you, like I said last time, you know, you should probably go talk to this dude about, what's been going on. It was rare for Kinzo to leave his study. However, that in itself didn't mean his noble research had been suspended. He may have left the study for a change of mood. The thoughts filling his head were no different from those that he had inside the study. So Cannon knew that no matter what the time, speaking to Kinzo when he didn't want to be spoken to would be a disturbance to his research.
天気が重いな。崩れるのか。
はい。天気予報ではいつ雨があってもおかしくないと。傘をお持ちいたしましょうか。
それには及ばん。しばらく私を放っておくがいい。息子たちに聞かれても所在は知らぬと言っておけ。
Just deal with your family normally. My God, man.
私は自らの思考を巡る旅で忙しい。
かしこまりました。それでは失礼いたします。
During the time that Cannon bowed to him, Kinzo had already returned to his own world and had forgotten that Cannon was there. And once again, he began rambling to himself. Amidst those words, the name of the witch was repeated many times.
おお、ベアトリーチェ。お前の微笑みに手が届かぬ。どうすればよみがえるのか。どうすれば再び微笑んでくれるのか。何が足りぬ。研究か、資料か、触媒か。
You don't got no fucking talent, my guy.
それとも魔力か、運気か。
You got the one successful summoning on the house, but you know, other than that,
ああ、ベアトリーチェ。
It ain't looking
ど
good
うす
for
れ
you.
ばお前の面影をもう一度見ることができるのだ。ああ。
As Cannon listened to his master's weeping voice over his shoulder, he turned around just once. When he did, right behind his isolated old master was the silhouette of a person that shouldn't have been there. Just looking annoyed. It was the witch. At once, Cannon, thinking that the witch must be plotting to do Kinzo some harm, quickly ran back to Kinzo, trying to become a shield himself. But when he saw the expression on the witch's face, an emotion of his vanished. Because Beatrice's expression was one of sorrow, or maybe pity.
愚かな金蔵。わらわはここにいるというのに、見えぬのか。
Right behind Kinzo, he had repeated the witch's name over and over, desiring to be reunited with her more than anything else was the witch herself. And yet, Kinzo couldn't notice a thing. Even when Beatrice tried to rest her hand on his shoulder, he didn't notice a thing.
なぜだ。なぜベアトリーチェの微笑みに手が届かぬのか。月齢か。水星の周期か。惑星の配列か。何が足りぬのだ。何が。
The single element, my man.
無駄よ、金蔵。愛がなければ見えない。
Cannon took the brooch he had received from Shannon out of his pocket. Could he learn something that would enable him, too, to see what he currently could not?
愛がなければ見え
Oh
ない。
god. His sneeze. He looked at Kinzo's back once more. The witch was no longer there. School Cultural Festival. Well, this is a change of scenery. The biggest event for the Ushiromiya family in fall was the family conference in October, but for Jessica, there was another one before that, the School Cultural Festival. Jessica liked school. To her, it was a place where she could let out the stress she built up during the rigid lifestyle she was forced to lead at home. For the cultural festival today, she had formed a group with her friends, and would be performing casual pop rock on a temporary stage. Ooh, nice! She had kept on preparing and practicing for that, and was really looking forward to today. But there was one thing that had been worrying her. She looked at the clock. There was still a little time, but she was uneasy. Would he really come? She was about to breathe out a stress-relief sigh. Her heart jumped as all her friends suddenly started speaking in shrill voices.
嘘。ひなの彼氏超イケてんじゃん。マジすごくない？マジすごくない？リンの彼氏すっごい頭良さそう。あれでド S メガネなの？マジ本当？
What?
ダメダメ、うちの旦那ギャル男だし。
Sure, you just have your little girl talk there, I'll space out. Just listen to the TV static in my brain. It's not necessarily the case that all girls are like this, but at Jessica's school at least, the cultural festival was really a boyfriend exhibition. Jessica didn't have a boyfriend. She had many friends of the opposite sex, but no special one. But Jessica was a little famous around the school, and everyone naturally expected that she had a fitting partner. Furthermore, her pride had caused her to act like that was the case. Through such acting and dodging the questions, she had somehow managed to keep up the bluff until this year. But for various reasons, she hadn't been able to escape this year's cultural festival.
ジェシー、彼氏来た？
School uniform Jessica. Brr.
まだ来てねえみてえだぜ。
Honestly thought the other thing was her school uniform for some reason. Don't know why she would be wearing it at home, but my brain just never made the connection.
仕事忙しいのかな。ジェシーの彼氏どんな人なの？せめてヒントだけでも出してよ。
Yeah, just go start describing canon.
何系？
Huh?
何系？
すごいよね。社会人なんでしょ？
I mean, yeah, but he's like kind of a
スー
twink.
ツとかで来る？もちろんメガネかけてるよね。キャー！ねえ。
I mean, Kanan does seem like he would wear
でも
glasses.
本当は
Little
いない
fucking
んだ
nerd.
よね。今素直に白状したら私の仲間に入れてあげるって。一緒にこの文化祭を涙で濡らそうよ。
いや、いる。本当にいるって。
Just keep digging that hole. Jessica laughed awkwardly, covered with cold sweat. It was extremely doubtful whether she really had deceived her sharp-witted friends, or if they're too nice to actually say anything about it.
はい。なら彼氏さんの偽物を立てて連れて行くというのはどうでしょうか。
偽物？誰を？そんなのに心当たりねえぜ。
Hey, you got one right here. You can't say no, it's in his contract. Shannon's ridiculous plan surprised Jessica wildly. Even so, it was a little more realistic than the unrealistic method running through her head of getting a boyfriend in a huge hurry before the day of the cultural festival.
例えばですが、カノン君なんてどうでしょう。
カノン君？ダメ。というか、きっとカノン君文化祭の日は仕事に決まってるぜ。迷惑かけちゃ悪いしさ。
And they can trade days off.
もちろん予定表も確認済みです。カノン君はその日お休みになっています。
Well,
こんな時ばっかり容量がいいのな。
because you're a little fucking coward that'll never take the first step yourself.
じゃなくて、休みならもっと悪いぜ。せっかくの休みを私の見栄のために引っ張り出せないよ。
Look, the guy needs to, like, have fun every once in a while. He seems like the kind of guy on his day off, he'll just, like, sit in his room and, like, fucking read a book or something.
カノン君は引っ張り出されないといっつも閉じこもってばかりいますので、無理に引っ張り回すくらいでちょうどいいかと思いますよ。
そうなの？いや、でもカノン君に悪い。
なら探索つきますね。おとなし
I mean,
く彼氏はいませ
you
ん
could do that too,
と
but,
白状なされてはいかがでしょうか。それは肩身の狭い思いをなされるでしょうが、卒業までの短くも長い間を耐え忍ばれるだけでございますし、
Yeah, really fucking putting the screws to
愛し合
her,
う恋人同士にとって独り者のひがみ顔が何にも勝る甘い蜜なのです。
シャノン、私のために本気で悩んでないでしょ。おちょくってるでしょ。
Yes. Punching down is pretty fun. Jessica wrestled about with Shannon, her eyes teary. But Shannon was unconcerned, laughing with her usual smile.
私とジョージ様のことを茶化してばかりのお嬢様への仕返しです。
At that comeback Shannon's, the likes of which didn't happen even once in a year, Jessica rolled around on her bed, hugging her cushion, writhing and suffering. Shannon's triumphant smile was unbearably frustrating, but right now, she was the only person Jessica could talk with. She could wait until later to suffocate her with the cushion.
いいじゃないですか、お嬢様。文化祭ではありますが、カノン君と一緒に遊びに行くチャンスですよ。
いや、それはそうだけど、いや。
Jessica buried her head in her favorite cushion to hide the fact that her face had grown bright red, and she bit away at her thumbnail. It really was a reaction to be anticipated. Appreciated? Appreciated. Shannon and Jessica were about the same age, of the same sex, and they were also friends. And they were both right in the middle of puberty. They could never talk enough about things related to love. That's why they were able to be open with each other about these topics. So Jessica had heard in detail about how Shannon's and George's love was progressing. And on the other side, Shannon had heard the details of what type Jessica liked and what kind of man she might be interested in. Judging by Jessica's reactions, it would probably be crude to talk about that in detail. But we wouldn't get anywhere with Jessica just rolling around on the bed forever, so, to be blunt, Jessica had been thinking about Kanon ever since he had first appeared. There was almost no young men on Rokenjima, so maybe it was natural that Jessica, as a girl in puberty, had become interested in Kanon. But if anyone said that, it would destroy the romance of a maiden's pure heart and love at first sight. Shannon had been with Kanon the whole time at the Welfare Institute, so she had known him before they had started working together. So Jessica had asked persistently about what kind of person he was, what his hobbies were, what his favorite foods were, and what type of girl he liked. Kanon seems like a sexless weirdo, so probably none. Even Shannon could clearly tell Jessica was infatuated with Kanon.
もうカノン君をデートに連れ出せるいい機会じゃありませんか。
でもカノン君にだって好きな人とかいるかもしれないし、私なんかの見えっ張りに付き合わせたら気を悪くするぜ。
お嬢様のような素直じゃない方を何でしたっけ、ジョージ様に習いました。そうそう、ツンドラとか言うそうですよ。
No. Tsundere. Why does fucking George know the Tsundere? Alright, Grimoire. Sundora. Sundora is the word tundra converted into the Japanese sound system. It is used as a pun and reference to the term tsundere, which is a well-known character personality trait in fictional Japanese works. I definitely remember there was God, I think it was in Bakemonogatari, like the first season, like actually Bakemonogatari, where the term came up. It was definitely, I want to say, God, it was probably episode 3. I know it was in the Hachikuji arc, Maui Snail, like that second arc. They were in the park. Yeah, it was probably episode 3. Don't quote me on that, but I've seen Bakemonogatari so many times. The first season is embedded in my brain. I can just like fucking just stare off into the distance and just rewatch it inside my head. I hate it. It's awful. That's a lie, I love it. Tsundere is composed of two words, sun and dere, meaning respectively aloof or cranky and love-struck. It is used to describe characters that demonstrate an aggressive and or cold behavior, sun, but then become all lovey-dovey, dere, under some circumstances.
あと十数年かすると流行るんだそうですよ。
へえ、さすがジョージ兄さんだな。未来のトレンドが
Look
わ
at
かるの
George,
かよ。
you know, a future sight rolled a nat 20 on that one.
すげえぜ。じゃなくてってことは私ってタイプは時代がずれてるってことじゃねえかよ。もうダメだ。
Yeah, just, you know, wait until your late 30s and, you know, you'll be in vogue. People love, you know, 40-year-old tsunderes, I guess. Ultimately, Jessica wasted several days before finally agreeing to the plan of having Kana pretend to be her boyfriend.
Hi, お嬢様。お呼びでしょうか。
Jessica realized that she had called him at a bad time and immediately regretted it. Kenan always had a sour look, but even so, he had some good days and some bad days. Unfortunately, his reaction was the latter.
いや、そのさ、
All that confidence and effort she had amassed by practicing in front of the mirror all night was wiped out in about 5 seconds. Jessica turned bright red and hung her head. Watching her, Kenan sighed. Jessica thought he was getting fed up with her, and her face went pale.
シャノンから聞いています。お嬢様の学校の文化祭へお供するようにというお話ですか。
シャノンナイスじゃなくて
Yeah, fucking saved your ass there. Because you knew you weren't gonna get anywhere on your own.
当日の予定はどうかな。
シャノンから当日は特にお嬢様にお仕えするよう厳命されております。
Yep, it's already been decided.
僕は高校には行ったことがないので分かりませんが、何でも男性の付き人がいないと大変肩身が狭い場だとか。
Sure.
後ろ宮本家令嬢が庶民に劣ることがあってはならないと特に厳命されておりますので。
シャノンは後でぶっ殺す
Nothing wrong with a little happy misunderstandings. Jessica, or convenient misunderstandings. Jessica kept yelling with a strange voice, broken smile, and steam pouring from her head as if she were a boiler. As Kenan watched this, he sighed again. Kenan wasn't an idiot either. He fully understood what Jessica intended by inviting him. However, in truth, he found it nothing but bothersome to go along with the lady's game of love. But Shannon had spoken to him persistently about it. He was very indebted to her for many things. He couldn't refuse. And in his pocket was that brooch. Couldn't this strange turn of events also have been brought about by the magic power residing in this brooch? Ridiculous. But those words of Shannon's came to mind. What did Shannon see that I cannot? I don't understand Shannon's feelings. Your furniture. As if we could become something more than that. Jessica, still rambling on in a strange voice, and Kenan, sighing deeply, were a truly odd combination.
ジェシー、人が来てるよ。聞こえてないの？
Ooh, we gonna get casual clothes Kenan?
ごめん。誰？
Yeah, she was lost in flashback. As my friends all gathered together, they were looking this way with hard-to-describe expressions, whispering to each other in a low voice that couldn't be called low. Even I felt kind of shameless. Did I just say, sorry who? Like, I don't know who's shown up. Ah, crap, my mind is blank.
嘘、あれジェシの彼氏
Fucking dork.
本当に彼氏いたんだ。マジ嘘本当？けしかの裏切り者。
Look at this little fucking edgelord.
すっごい
Jesus
素敵
Christ.
じゃん。
年下年下なんて聞いてないよ。
どこジェシの彼氏ってどこそうだって本当？
いや
I mean, it can't be that much younger.
遅かったじゃねえかよ
But I guess in high school, you know, the age gap is just massively expanded, you know, because everyone's, like, divided into grades, so it's all that much more obvious.
昇降口がわからなかったもので遅くなって申し訳ございません。
いやその格好も似合ってるぜ。
Does it?
シャノンが普段着では良くないと言って先日一緒に買い物を。
I mean, you probably asked the store staff for help, and they're like, well, you do the, like, dark and brooding thing pretty well, so here's an edgy coat for you.
似合いませんでしたでしょうか。
No, it fits. It's just, fits a little too good.
そんなことないよ。シャノン後で2回切る特進。
なんだかここは
Shannon's
女の
gonna
人ばかり
die.
で居心地が悪いです。
だよな。さあここ こじゃなくてステージの方に行こうぜ。もうすぐ私たちの出番だからさ。さっさっさ。
It seemed that Jessica was just as uncomfortable. It looked like she was finding it difficult to cope with bathing in everybody's interested gaze. When he saw Jessica's appearance, Cannon thought that he might have made things difficult for her by coming.
なんだか迷惑をおかけしているような気がします。お邪魔だったでしょうか。
そんなことないって。
僕がお邪魔でしたらいつでも言ってくだされば。
I mean, yeah, Cannon seems like a... well, I guess it's to emphasize, you know, his youngness there. It'd be a little jarring if Cannon was an ore kind of guy.
僕はどうしていればいいでしょうか、お嬢様。
お嬢って呼ばせてるの？羊系来たこれ。ラメー。今日はお嬢様はラメー。
そうですか。
Yeah, you're throwing out some misunderstandings
わ
here.
かりました、ジェシカ様。
しつけするの様付けだ。ごめん、カノン君。3秒でいいから目つぶっててくれるかな。
I don't think that's it.
ではつまります。
Like a punch to the head's more likely. Bang, thunk, ba-bam, slam. When Cannon opened his eyes, for some reason there was a horrible tragedy in the room. Oh, not him. Everybody had been driven into the walls, their arms and legs outstretched. Jessica put her brass knuckles in her pocket before Cannon opened her eyes.
とにかくステージの方に行こう。私たちの出番はもうすぐだからしばらく席で待っててよ。私たちは準備あるからさ。この先突き当たりまで行けば
What
仮
instrument do you
設舞
play?
台があるから分か
I
るぜ。
mean,
そこで待ってて。
hopefully not vocals, not because I don't trust your singing voice, but it'd be pretty bad if you got a big old asthma attack right in the middle of singing. Cannon seemed to be having a hard time adjusting. Pushing him in the back, Jessica sent him out into the corridor. Even though Cannon was confused by Jessica's attitude and show of agitation, which he had never seen before, he followed her instructions and headed out in the direction she had indicated. After seeing him off with an awkward smile, Jessica slammed the door shut and yelled loudly.
ささ、見たね。見たでしょ。満足した。ざまあねえぜ。賭けに負けた。
That's fine, she cheated, it doesn't count.
絶対ジェシに彼氏なんかいないと思ってたのに。彼氏じゃないんでしょ。使用人へのパワハラでしょ。
Bullseye.
ジェシの彼氏素敵だお。いやかましいぜ。ほら準備。
Jessica took the brass knuckles out of her pocket again, and everyone energetically returned to their tasks. Oh god, I said that weird. Cannon went down the corridor as Jessica told him to, and found the temporary stage set up where the vending machine should have been. It was probably being shared in time slots between the individual groups and clubs. A student group was singing, and the place was already fired up. It's like in that ruckus, found a dark wall to lean against, alone. So this is what they call high school. It sure is noisy, Cannon thought. Then he remembered Jessica just now, acting in a way that he had never seen before. Honestly, she was in such high spirits that alcohol might have been involved. To him, the greatest virtue for a person was to always be composed and intellectual. In that sense, it was very hard for him to get used to the atmosphere in a school cultural festival. He had the responsibility of reporting everything he saw or heard to the master. So he would also have to report about Jessica's unrestrained behavior earlier. Oof, right under the fucking bus. At the very least, it was not fitting for the daughter of the Ushiramiya main family. The master, Kraus-sama, and especially Natsume-sama, would probably be angry. If I were to report it in a way that protects my lady, Milady? Should I blame it on inappropriate school friends?
なんだよあれ。バカみたいだ。
Kinda thought back on how Jessica had acted earlier and sighed again. You can understand Natsuhi's headache a little now. Come to think of it, Natsuhi-sama, as the president of the PTA... Of course she's fucking part of the PTA. Should have gone straight to a social after attending the ceremony in the gymnasium. Hadn't she said that she wouldn't be there to see Milady's event? That's probably for the best.
人混みは気持ち悪いな。なんだって。
I'm with you on there. It's why I like working the weekend. It's such a small shift. There's only like 20 people in the building total compared to like the 100 plus that are there during the week. Several female students kept glancing at me. It seemed they're all whispering the same sort of thing that Milady's school friends had said, and it was really unpleasant. Come to think of it, didn't Shannon warn me? That if I was going to walk around a school festival on my own, I better watch out because a lot of strange people would come and talk to me.
お一人ですか?
Just as expected, a group of girls I'd never met started talking to me. The stare started to make my back tingle. Didn't she tell me some magic word that could chase them off at times like this?
すみません。
Yep, taken.
連れがいますので。
そうですか。ごめんなさい。
Nothing wrong with shooting your shot, though. Ah, it worked. Instant reaction. Well, that got them to go away, but it hasn't really changed the number of people staring at me.
違うよ。あの子だよ、ジェ
Well,
シ
yeah,
ー
you
の彼
fucking
氏。
standing there looking like a school shooter.
嘘。あの子が？信じらんないよね。絶対にエアだと思ってたよ。可愛いじゃん。年下？いいな。
No way am I ever coming to a place like this again. Can't inside for about the 100th time that day. As he did, the lighting changed, and the standing audience started cheering. Looking around, I realized that there was suddenly a large number of people here. And unlike earlier, they were all guys. With this huge crowd, I couldn't even see the stage. That fucking short stuff. Fortunately, there was a fallen beer case nearby, so I tried using that as a footstool. As I noticed, there was now a new group on the stage. That's a fucking costume! The leader was Milady. She had changed into stage clothes and was even holding a guitar. I didn't know she could play. No, maybe she could. I'd seen her practicing air guitar before. Natsuhi-sama wouldn't approve of any hobbies outside of study. Maybe she was always practicing in secret. Come to think of it, she'd been returning really late from school recently, hadn't she? Maybe she'd been practicing at school, far away from Natsuhi-sama's prying eyes. It really is best that Natsuhi-sama didn't come. If Milady were to get scolded by Natsuhi-sama after putting so many hours of practice in, she would probably be very dejected. I could hear Jessica-sama's forceful voice through the speakers. Jessica-sama? Maybe that's her nickname at school, or Jessie. The students in the audience kept calling out that name. I was a little aggravated by that inferior name, which was inappropriate for Milady. Jessica-sama was in great spirits as they kept calling her Jessie-sama. They were all probably her fans. With her mic performance, she was responding to that and firing the place up. It was almost like a song program on TV. At first, I thought that all this was frivolous, but that feeling now changed into appreciation. This was pretty incredible in its own way. Kennen had never listened to music of his own free will, but I'd often heard the kind of music that people of the Ushiramiya family liked. Yeah, I doubt Kinzo and Kraus listened to fucking butt rock. Since that was almost all classical music, Kennen had naturally started liking classical music too. So to Kennen, the songs Jessica and the others were singing were, how should you say it, very modern. In any case, I thought that if Natsuhi-sama heard it, she would probably faint. Oh, music video. But everybody looked like they were having a really good time. The diehard fans, who had even brought pen lights, sang along, dancing crazily with the exact same movements, almost as though it had been planned ahead. Because it was. On the stage, Jessica-sama also sang enthusiastically, dripping with sweat. I don't find a single element that was appropriate for a daughter of the Ushirmiya family, but I looked like she was having a lot of fun. Oh, song's over. That's an interesting title. Sounds like a light novel. I couldn't keep up with the atmosphere, but anyway, the lady was full of life and looked like she was having a great time. As I looked at my lady having a great time, I thought, isn't this what Ushirmiya Jessica is really like? Don't I know better than anybody just how badly life on Rokkenjima kills your own sense of self? And the time she spends, as my lady, successor of the Ushirmiya family, who has a single girl called Jessica, living life to the fullest, must be very important to her. I worked close to my lady, saw her in all seasons, and I thought I knew everything about her. But that was only a small, limited side of her, my lady of Rokkenjima. Your furniture. We serve on Rokkenjima and end our lives on Rokkenjima. So I had come to think that Rokkenjima itself was our whole world, as though, just like in the old geocentric theories, the ocean spilled off the edge of the world into an abyss. But as I looked at my lady like this, I realized this was a horribly narrow outlook. I still couldn't keep up with the excitement of the crowd, but I felt like I had seen something that cannot be seen on Rokkenjima. Although I don't know if it was the unseeable thing Shannon was talking about. I still can't see the ocean as blue. But
今日はジェシカの学校の文化祭だったな。
you gonna cover for her, huh, Cannon? Or are you gonna throw her under the bus?
校長先生はお元気でおられたかね。
ええ、お元気なようでした。そうそう、高宮議員もおいでになっておりました。
Cool, don't know who that is.
あなたによろしくと特に言っておりましたよ。
And give me just a second to do a quick little cut. Alright, I'm back. Thought I was gonna explode.
相変わらずご多忙そうかね。
そのようでした。あの方も精力的な方です。そうそう。あと、
Energetic in a good way, or are you saying
もおいででし
energetic
た
as
っ
in
け？
she's annoying? Naturally, the topic of Jessica's cultural festival came up at dinner. School events often became social gatherings for influential people. It was the same for the Ushirmiya family, who were big names around this area. As Natsuki remembered the names of the important people at the social, she updated Kraus on the news concerning them. Jessica didn't really have any interest in that discussion, and rudely slurped her pumpkin soup.
お嬢様、あまりお行儀がよろしくないかと。
へいへい、そりゃあ悪かったぜ。
Well, it is fall. I could go for some pumpkin myself.
ジェシカ、
I'm a fucking basic white bitch, so pumpkin spice shit, that's my jam.
そういう言葉遣いは改めるよういつも。
はい。
Jessica answered, discouraged. When she saw that, Kraus smiled a little and interrupted his conversation with Natsuki.
ジェシカの方はどうだったかね。
ああ、まあ。
Just okay?
見ていましたよ。よく頑張っていましたね。
Who? What? Watching?
まあね。
Jessica's face turned bright red. She probably hadn't thought that Natsuki would actually come to see her on the stage. She felt a mix of happiness and embarrassment. Actually, she hadn't wanted her mother to watch because she didn't want to be told that her music was inappropriate for the Ushirmiya family. But it wasn't as though it didn't make her happy to hear her parents say that she did a good job after watching her try her best.
ジェシカもなかなか落ち着きと貫禄が出てきましたね。生徒代表にふさわしい振る舞いでしたよ。
That smile had been there for a second ago, crumbled like sand. Jessica immediately realized that she was talking about something different. Jessica was also the school's student council president. There's no council there, but I said it anyway. She had no interest in something so annoying, but her parents had been pushy and had also grudgingly accepted. So she had grudgingly accepted. Unfortunately, she was popular in school, and she had won the election easily. So, Nazi was praising her for the ceremony organized by the student council at the beginning of the cultural festival. Actually, she had just carried that out half-heartedly. She had immediately met up with her friends and had held a stage rehearsal for the rest of the time.
人の上に立ち責任を背負うという経験は必ず将来役に立つ。後ろ宮家の人
Yeah,
間と
public
して
speaking is a good skill to
きっ
learn.
とジェシカを成熟させてくれるだろう。
ただ、挨拶が少し早口でした。内容は及第点でしたが、早い口調はそれを薄れさせます。
You gotta be concise.
一呼吸置く癖をつけるといいでしょう。
Don't want it too slow where people get bored, but don't go too fast where they don't know what you're saying. After she finished eating, Jessica didn't feel like going straight to her room. You could say that her room was a place where her parents had specified for her to be. So maybe you could say that for Jessica, choosing not to return to her own room and instead disappearing to an unknown location in this large mansion was a meager form of resistance. Jessica felt that even being in the mansion made it hard to breathe, so she went outside into the rose garden.
まあ、来たところでどうせ後ろ宮家の跡継ぎとしてふさわしくないとかなんとか言うんだろうぜ。ならこれでいいんじゃねえかよ。
Yeah, well, you know, who doesn't want to get praised by the parents, huh? Jessica laughed at what she was sulking over. Laughed at what kind of words she would have had to receive to be satisfied. Ridiculous. In the end, I'm just a spoiled little kid. I can't believe myself. It's almost funny.
お嬢様。
カノン君か。
What are you doing out here just creeping in the shadows?
驚かすなよ。
Cannon had suddenly started talking to her just as she had tried to force a laugh, so she choked.
何？なんかよ。
そん
Just as Jessica's expression had become one Cannon always saw. The listless Jessica from a second ago was gone. If he still only knew Jessica as the successor to the Ushiromiya family, as he did until today, he would have mistakenly thought that Jessica's mood had sprung back to normal. But that was wrong. He now knew a part of her that he could not see until today, so he understood that there was no way that, on the inside, Jessica was just as she appeared.
あ、今日は文化祭、いや、私の見栄に付き合ってくれてありがとうな。助かったぜ。
お歌お上手でした。
え？あ、そうかよ。
There you go. Got your word to praise you wanted. Even though she had heard the words she had most wanted to hear, Jessica became shy and couldn't accept them frankly.
僕には歌は歌えません。
Same.
楽器も小学校で習ったハーモニカとリコーダー笛しか知りません。
I used to know how to play the harmonica. I can do a little bit of trumpet, and I used to be able to play the guitar.
だから
But I
お嬢
haven't played
様
since
も同
like
じだろう
middle
と
school.
決めつけていました。
The guitar, that is. I occasionally play the trumpet. Oh, I should probably be reading instead of just melancholy thinking about the past. Jessica hadn't been consciously looking down. Cannon hadn't been consciously looking down at Jessica to that degree. But people playing unique instruments are always on the other side of the brawn tubes in the TV. I mean, yeah, I guess there are bron tubes? Is that like a cathode ray tube? I'll be honest, I don't know the interior parts of a CRT very well. Like, what makes it work? God damn it! I keep spacing out and not reading my lines. He had got into his head that it would be impossible for Jessica, at least.
歌を歌う必要も楽器を扱う必要もないと信じてきました。
But I'm not sure anymore.
カノン君、その家具だからって口癖、使用人の心得ってやつだろ。使用人は生きた家具であれってやつ。
Yeah, it's kind of cringe.
源氏さんがよく口にしてるもんな。
Nah, he's old.
心得というわけでは本当に家具ですし。
福音の家の子たちがいろいろじいさまから援助をもらってるってのは知ってるし、それに恩義を感じてるのも知ってるよ。
Yeah, but you gotta live your own life, my dude.
でもだからって家具なんて言い方はあんまりだぜ。私たちは同じ人間じゃないかよ。カノン君は私が歌ってるのを見てどう思った？
It was very modern.
とても楽しそうに見えました。
それは多分違うぜ。
え？
楽しそうに見えたんじゃなくて羨ましかったんじゃない？
そんなことは。
Well, maybe. Even Kanon himself probably hadn't noticed that emotion. Kanon had seen something that he had never seen before, never known of before, and had probably become jealous. And to trick himself about that emotion, he'd call himself furniture over and over.
私は後ろ宮家の後継ぎだかなんだかだそうで、
Or something.
まあいろいろな面倒がこれからもあると思う。それについては運のない星の下に生まれちまったと諦めるしかないさ。多分カノン君が福音の家で生活しなければならなかったのと同じに、
Yeah, you don't really get to choose the family you're born into. And all the annoying circumstances that come with it.
そうかもしれません。
ただ私とカノン君では大きく違うところが一点ある。わかる？
I am furniture, and you are not. He was about to say that, but stopped.
わかりません。
カノン君は自らの運命が自分の全てだと思って諦めた。私はこんな運命じゃ納得できないから自分の思い切りを頑張ろうと思った。だから後ろ宮家のお嬢様をやらなければならない窮屈な自分と自分の好きなことに精一杯な自分というもう一人を作った。
You know, I said all the time, people are multifaceted, you know, there's more than just the one part of a person.
カノン君は自分のことを家具だからと言い聞かせ
What about the canon that isn't furniture?
そう言い聞かせなきゃならない辛いことがきっとたくさんあったんだと思う。それについては本当に気の毒だと思う。でもそれだけでカノン君の人生を全て決めちゃうなんて私はそんなの悲しいと思うんだよ。人はさ、自分の中に自分が本当に好きになれるもう一人の自分をいつでも作り出すことができるんだよ。
Just gotta, you know, make another mask inside yourself to throw
現
on.
実逃避とかとは違うぜ。そのもう一人の自分でいるとき、私は最高に生きているって実感できる。だから普段の日常がどんなに窮屈で退屈でも私はきっと窒息せずに生きていけるってわけ。
自分の中に自分が本当に好きになれる自分を作る。
This is like some fucking end of Ava shit. To make another me which isn't furniture. Through her relationship with George-sama, has Shannon given birth to a part of herself that isn't furniture? And to this other Shannon, sees something that cannot be seen by furniture?
私さ、カノン君のプライベ
I
ー
mean, he doesn't really have
ト全
one.
然知らないぜ。でもなんだか想像できる。カノン君のプライベートには多分何もない。
He's on the clock 24/7,
図星でしょ？
even when he's not on shift. Kennan couldn't reply, but that was answer enough. He had no concept of a private life. So Kennan would always be Kennan. So furniture would always be furniture.
カノン君のカノンってさ、
Yeah, it's your
本
work
名じゃ
name.
ないんでしょ？
The Gospel House gave new students new families and a new life, so it also made a point to give each of them a new name. In his case, that was Canon.
確かに僕のこの名は仮のものかもしれません。
He had thought that he wasn't anyone other than Canon. But he remembered. Definitely had been a part of himself that wasn't Canon. But that was far, far away, beyond the distant fog of oblivion.
ならカノン君にもカノン君である時とそうでない時で違う自分がいてもいいはず。使用人である時のカノン君は自らを家具と呼び、厳しく自己を戒めてるかもしれない。でもカノン君じゃない時の君はもっともっと自由に生きていいと思うんだ。
Those words definitely weren't just lip service. Jessica had also been like this in the past. She had cursed her own birth into an environment different from all her friends at school. She had been the only one in a heavily constricted environment, forced to learn various things, and she had even received words about the friends she played with. Though she had been sad about that, she had given up, thinking that she had just been born under that kind of star. But one day, Jessica stopped giving up and surrendering. Stuff like the Ushiromiya family customs and pressure, those don't matter. She created a real Jessica inside herself, who could do what she really wanted to do.
私さ、学校ではジェシってあだ名で呼ばれてる。だからさ、ジェシである時は自分に思いっきり素直に生きてる。だからこそジェシカである時も頑張れるんだ。カノン君にもカノンである時とカノンじゃなくてその本名である時で
Yeah.
違う生き方をしてもいいんじゃないかな。
You know, deep down, the only one who can support yourself is you. So, have another you in there that can, like, kind of support you, pick you up.
カノンじゃない時、自分を好きになれる自分になってみてもいいんじゃないかな。
僕がカノンじゃない時。
He thought that his real name didn't matter at all. So he had thought Canon was all he was. Now Jessica was saying that he should create a new existence, another self that wasn't Canon.
カノン君、嫌じゃなきゃ教えてよ。本当の名前なんていうの？
God damn, you fucking talking in the mic from across the room? He was silent for quite some time. Maybe his real name had risen to the tip of his tongue. After hesitating for a long time over whether he should say it, in the end, he swallowed it back down.
忘れました。僕の名前などもうどうでもいいことです。
Those words signified a slight rejection.
僕が本当は何という名前であったとしても、今ここにカノンとしてあることだけが現実です。過去など何の関係もない。作られた家具の材料が元は何という木の幹であったかなんてどうでもいいことと同じです。
That's a rather depressing way to look at things.
だからよせって。家具じゃないんだぞ。君は人間だぜ。
僕は人間じゃない。
Cannon clearly spoke his refusal. It was with a rage that he normally didn't show. He just couldn't say anything back and was struck silent.
お嬢様は人間です。だからどんな生き方をしようとも自由で、どんな未来も可能性もある。それはまるで翼を持ち自在に空を舞う鳥のよう。でも
I mean, she's a bit of a caged bird right now, but...
僕がたとえ鳥に見えたとしてもアヒルに過ぎない。
What do you want with the duck?
アヒルに翼はあっても飛ぶことはできない。
Maybe like an ostrich or something.
なのに空の夢を語るなんて、そんなのは残酷すぎる。
家具だのアヒルだの、なんだってんだよ一体。いや。
Jessica had unconsciously gone along with Cannon's forceful manner of speaking, but she realized that she shouldn't have fired back and swallowed her words.
私は君のことを何も知らない。 生い立ちも知らないし、その苦労も知らない。だから君がどうして自分を家具だなんて言い出すようになったのか。そうでも知って、君は家具でもアヒルでもない、ちゃんとした人間だぜ。
Alright, bringing ducks into this was kind of weird.
使用人としてのカノン君が
Not
家具
gonna
だと
lie,
言うなら
let's just stick with the furniture analogy, okay?
でもならカノン君は家具でない時の人間の時の自分を作ってもいいとは思わない？
そんな可能性を抱けるのは僕はそうじゃない。僕には未来も可能性も
God, you're so fucking
見るべき夢も
edgy.
ない。
So brooding.
だからお嬢様、それ以上残酷なことを言わないでください。
なんでだよ、なんでそんなことを言うんだよ。
お嬢様が僕のことをご自分と同じ人間だと勘違いなされているようだからです。
Yeah.
僕とお嬢様は違う存在、それをはっきり申し上げておきたかったのです。シャノンに聞きました。お嬢様は僕のことをお気に入りになられているとか。
Whoops. Damn, Shannon, you really went out and just fucking spilled the beans?
僕は人間に限りなく近い姿をしています。だからシャノンのように自分を人間だと錯覚して一時恋愛の真似事をすることもできるかもしれない。でもそれは自分を騙しているに違いない。いえ、お嬢様を騙すことにもなるのです。
Oh, God. Fucking stop sniffing your own
シャ
farts,
ノンとジ
dude.
ョージ様も必ず破綻する。その日が訪れることをシャノンだって理解しているだろうに。
バカだってことはないだろ。そりゃジョージ兄さんは立派な人だし、両親の期待も背負ってる。確かに結婚とかになればエヴァおばさんがいろいろと口出し
Yeah,
をして
but
く
you
るだろうし、
know,
まあその前途は
love
多難だ
finds
と
a
思うぜ。
way.
でもな、ジョージ兄さんはそんなのに屈する人じゃねえ。シャノンをジュリエットになんかしねえぜ。きっと幸せにしてくれる。
Well, you better fucking not.
人は家具と恋などできない。お嬢様が家具を愛することができても僕にお嬢様を愛することが
Oh
できな
man,
い
I've
と。
seen some fucked up things
そ
on
う
the
申し
internet.
上げたい
People
の
can
です。
definitely love a piece of furniture. Let me tell you that. Those words of cannons crushed all of Jessica's bittersweet feelings from today. There was no way she could have anticipated the emotion of such a blunt rejection. In an instant, she lost the willpower that had caused her to try and unravel something stubborn in Kennan's heart. Before she knew it, she was just standing there in shock.
お嬢様が僕を好かれているという気持ちが僕の思い上がりによるものならどうかお許しください。
いや、まあそこは否定しねえぜ。
ありがとうございます。
え？
僕を人間だと思ってくれてありがとうございます。そのお気持ちだけで僕は本当に嬉しいです。そしてそれ以上は僕に。
Uh-huh.
いや、もう十分だぜ。悪かったな。
Yeah, let's just pretend this didn't happen. Jessica scratched her head as she spoke and tried to force her voice to sound bright.
私一人がいろいろ先走っちゃって迷惑かけたよ。正直ごめん。貴重な休みを丸一日振り回しちゃって。
I mean, he was just gonna sit inside and do nothing all day, so.
いえ、僕も楽しそうなお嬢様が見られて嬉しかったです。
じゃあ今夜はこれで終わりにしようぜ。
Yeah.
私も部屋に戻って消灯しないとまた母さんに怒られちまうよ。
そうされた方がよろしいでしょう。おやすみなさいませ、お嬢様。
うん、おやすみ。
Jessica turned her back to him and slowly trotted away, looking disheartened. But suddenly, she started dashing pell-mell, never heard of that before, and disappeared in the direction of the mansion. As he watched her go, for just an instant, Canon was tormented by the feeling that he had just made a huge mistake. But no, he thought, this had not been a mistake at all. It was for her sake that he had been forced to refuse her now, while her pain was still at its smallest. Yep, nip it in the
女を
bud.
泣かせるとはなかなかやるではないか。
Hey, Beatrice.
お前がそこまで拒絶するとは意外であった。普通に受け答えしていれば、わらわの魔法で二組目の恋人たちが生まれていたものを。
いつからそこに最低なやつだな。
She seems like she's everywhere and nowhere all at once. When he turned around, the witch was suddenly there. It looked like she had been there the whole time, enjoying the performance as if it were a play.
わらわへの暴言は愉快なる見せ物に免じて特別に許す。男と女のこじれ合いに勝る見せ物は1000年を経ても存在せぬな。わらわにとっては何よりも甘美な止められぬ快楽よ。ん
Kiana pulled the butterfly brooch out of his pocket. It was the crystallization of the great magic that the witch had bestowed. She's stepping on it? Without hesitation, Kiana flung it hard into the ground and stomped on it.
ほう、わらわの与えたものと知りつつ、それは何を意味するのか。
The magic is trash!
今理解した。お前がしているのは恋のキューピッドなんて洒落たものじゃない。お前は
Yeah, you're just stirring up
結ばれる
drama.
者たちに恋を見せてたぶらかして楽しんでいるだけの悪魔だ。
そう思うも自由よ。わらわが力を貸した人間の多くはお前と同じようなことを口にする。
I mean, were they right?
ほうけるな。お前はシャノンを憐れんで力を貸したんじゃない。恋に胸を焦がすシャノンの心の隙をついて、自分を封じていた鏡を割らせた。
At least Canon's able to get it.
しかもそれだけじゃない。その末路まで想像がついていてもてあそんでいる。違うか。
I mean, that's not a statement of denial.
家具とはつくづく哀れな存在よ。夢も未来も恋すらもないか。よいよい、身の程はわきまえるに限るぞ。ジェシカの心にはお前が察する通り、そなたはそれにハサミを入れ刈り取ったつもりでいる。だ
Yeah,
が
it ain't that easy.
知っておるか。
It's a tough weed.
木は勝手に茂らせたものより枝を間引き剪定したものの方が太い枝をつけるというぞ。家具に恋する娘か。シャーノンとジョージもやがては結ばれ得ぬ恋に行き詰まり、わらわ好みの大きな果実を実らせるだろう。
Okay.
しかしいかんせんあの二人はうまくいきすぎていて面白くなくてな。
Yeah, it's going too well.
そこへ行くとお前たちは大いにわらわを楽しませてくれそうだぞ。
The witch laughed. Even though she had known that the two could not be joined, she had let magics join them together. However, they couldn't escape the fate that made it impossible for them to be joined. The witch knew that. Even if they were joined, the relationship of Shannon and George, Kitten and Jessica, would fail for certain. And as they wandered through the eternal desert and the hell of love, they would be tormented by eternal thirst.
わらわがその力を対価なく貸すことがあるとでも恋に手は貸そう。その対価はやがて必ず訪れる二人への過酷な運命の鑑賞料としていただくわけよ。これに勝る見せ物は1000年経っても存在せぬ。
She's
金
like
像
a
を
bad
見る
person,
なよ。
ain't ya?
恋の味を知り楽園を追放された哀れな老いぼれの末路を死んでも死にきれぬさながら亡者のような生き様を見るがいい。
You're just like the worst, huh?
やはりお前は魔女だ。 消えて失せろ、この悪魔め。
Just start carrying around like a bag of salt in your pocket. You can just throw at her.
まだまだわらわには力が戻らぬでな。姿を現し続けるのはまだまだ疲れることよ。そなたら恋人たちに力を授けるのに無理をしすぎたのでな。触媒のブローチなしで力を維持し続けるのは今のわらわには容易ではない。
He then ground his foot even more onto the stomped brooch. He felt it break under his foot. Then it dissolved as if into water, and changed into butterflies that sparkled gold with which fluttered away from beneath Cannon's foot.
わらわもこの姿を保ち続けるのがちと苦しい。
And then fuck off for a little bit.
しばしそなたの願い通り姿を消そう。満ちぬ潮も月もないように我が魔力も必ず満ちる。そして必ずや訪れ
Gonna
る
go build up and train for the family
わらわが
conference.
蘇るにふさわしい時だ。それが明日のことか来年のことか、さもなくば100年1000年未来のことかは想像もつかぬ。
As long as I'm not here for it, that's all that matters.
わらわを楽しませてくれる者たちがおる限り、わらわは必ずや力を得て蘇るであろう。その時までしばし姿を消す。そなたの手のひらにもはやあざはなく、そなたが望むならば明日の朝にはわ
Probably
ら
for
わ
the
の
best.
存在など夢か幻のように消し去ることもできよう。忘れ去られることほどわらわに悲しいことはない。だがわらわは必ず蘇
Oh
る。
yeah, I'm sure you will.
そしてその日がいつ訪れても後悔することのないよう、わらわは必ずや再臨し、この島の真の主として全てを支配する。
Why don't you get some better hobbies, huh?
その時こそ再び黄金鏡の扉が開かれる。欲深な亡者たちが必ずやわらわを呼び覚ます。
くどい、早く消え去れ、
Shoot.
黄金の魔女。
Just get a spray bottle and start spraying her down. Just leaving behind a mocking laugh, the witch turned into a flight of gold butterflies and scattered away. The whole area sparkled like a gold blizzard in a snow globe. It was a fleeting, fantastical scene that disappeared in a heartbeat. The witch could no longer be seen. However, Cannon felt he could still hear that shrill, unpleasant laugh.
あら、愉快愉快。
New character? Hello? Scorpion Guts.
な
Interesting
ぜ
song
に
title.
久しぶりの人の世はこうも愉快なのか。恋に惑え、
Or is this
黄
still
金に
Beatrice?
惑
I
え
don't。know.
そのどち
Still
ら
getting
に
used to her
も惑わぬ
voice.
ものなど人間にあら
She just went off of that line read, I guess.
ず。なるほど。故に家具とは言い得たり。家具は人間に奉仕するために生み出される。そしてわらわは退屈なる千年の慰み者として人間を虐げる。そのわらわが家具を支配できぬとは、なんとも愉快な三すくみ。
Can't pull the heartstrings of something without a heart.
金蔵め、実に面白いことをしてくれる。家具め、わらわを撃てるか試みてみる
Just
がい
watch
い。
yourself in night in the dark, you know, you might stub your toe.
今宵まきたる恋の種は2つ。
This furniture got hands.
すでにまきたる種と含めてこれで3つ。
ベアトリーチェ、なぜ私を一人この苦界に置き去りにしたのか。
Isn't the time you gotten over her?
私は憎い。これほどまでに恋焦がれているのに答えようとせぬお前を永遠に憎む。
親方様、それ以上のお酒はお体に障ります。
Maybe it's time to go to bed.
南條先生からも ご注意を受けておられるのでは。
黙れ源氏。お前には分からぬ。我が嘆きも苦しみも分からぬ。お前だけは我が苦しみを理解してくれていると、お前だけは我が最古の友人であると信じているのに。
I don't think Genji would get that, my guy.
なぜに理解できないというのか。
Because it's been like 70 years and you're still not over this bad breakup.
おー、ベアトリーチェ。なぜ私だけを置き去りに。
Yeah.
なんだよ、家具って。
Yeah, Kanon's dumb.
わけわかんねえよ。
おおいたわしやジェシカ様。 寝室から聞こえてくるすすり泣く声に、私は事情を知りつつもどうしようもないのでございます。すべては若すぎた二人と近すぎた距離、そして生まれた家柄が遠すぎたゆえの悲劇。
Thank you for the, like, narration there.
私はただただお嬢様のお気持ちを汲み取り、足音を殺して静かに立ち去るのみなのでございます。
それって。
Well, with that little fun adventure out of the way, that is where we're gonna end it here for today because I'm tired and I haven't eaten yet, like I normally never eat before my videos, so I always end them hungry, and now I'm dying, so I'm gonna go eat. But yeah, before I go, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. See you all next time for the next episode of Umineko, where more saucy drama is gonna happen because Beatrice just fucking loves stirring that pot. Anyway, hope to see you guys all then. Later, bye. Mwah.